You're watching the kOAM Morning News on Fox 14. And today, funeral services are set to begin for 2 fallen Joplin police officers.
Flags across the 4 states set at half-staff to remember those fallen officers. As we prepare for a little rain in the middle of March, we'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
Also, we'll meet a police officer who goes above and beyond the call of duty to foster 5 children. All that and more coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us for the kOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Bronte Sorotsky. The Joplin Police Department has provided more details concerning the funeral for Corporal Ben Cooper. In the release, the city and police department said they wanted to express their deepest gratitude for the overwhelming amount of support from the community as we all mourn the loss of Corporal Ben Cooper. Officials say if you're attending the public funeral service on Tuesday, you must enter through the checkpoint at the intersection of Newman Road and Duquesne Road. Officials say they encourage anyone in the community who wants to honor Corporal Cooper to attend the service. If members of the public would like to show support to the Cooper family or to law enforcement, you're encouraged to line Main Street from 3rd to 19th Street. The department says the procession will travel that route between 3 and 4 on Tuesday, and they ask that people avoid parking on Main Street during that time. A couple of other notes the city wanted to provide. People should expect brief traffic delays in and around the city on Tuesday between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Additionally, Duquesne Road between Newman and Tallgrass Drive will be closed from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. The department says details for Officer Jake Reed's service will be released in the coming days. Funeral services were also announced for Officer Jake Reed, killed in the same encounter. These services will also be at MSSU. Visitation will be on Thursday from 4 to 8 p.m. The funeral will be on Friday at 1. Officer Reed was 27. The Joplin Police Department announced it'll retire the radio numbers of Corporal Cooper and Officer Reed in the coming days. Officials say an officer's radio number becomes a part of their identity and adds another piece to the brotherhood of law enforcement. Corporal Cooper's radio number was 222. Officer Reed's number was 270. Officer Rick Hershey was also shot on Tuesday. At last report, Hershey was in serious but stable condition, recovering from a gunshot to the face. The police chief said Hershey will likely require numerous surgeries and a long recovery. As the Joplin Police Department mourns the loss of 2 officers in the line of duty this week, they're now mourning the loss of a longtime former chaplain. Roger Nichols was a chaplain for JPD for 18 years. The department said in a Facebook post that he selflessly served the department and specifically the family of Officer Tim Nielsen after Tim gave his life in service to the community. Nichols was killed in a crash on East 20th Street in Joplin. He was 60 years old. Russian forces are expanding their deadly invasion across Ukraine. Chaos and panic as a Russian airstrike hit a large military base early this Sunday morning, just miles from the border with Poland, a member of NATO. The attack killing at least 35 and wounding more than 130. Cole Higgins has the latest.
A crater left in the ground and buildings on fire after a deadly Russian attack on a Ukrainian military base Sunday morning. The regional military says more than 30 missiles were fired from warplanes at the training ground located less than 15 miles from the Polish border.
This is very provocative to be this close to Poland, but Poland is a NATO ally, and we have sworn to protect Poland.
In Poland, a bipartisan group of U.S. senators meeting with U.S. troops and refugees from Ukraine, some using the trip to urge the Biden administration to reverse course and facilitate the transfer of Polish fighter jets to the Ukrainian military.
They want the ability to have better control over the skies in order to give them a fighting chance.
Our focus right now is on anti-air systems. We are looking at other methods of getting the Ukrainian defenders advanced capabilities to be able to blunt the Russian advance.
In eastern Ukraine, a bombardment damaging a temple at a historic monastery housing hundreds of refugees. Desperation also growing in Mariupol. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says getting aid into the besieged city is key.
Every possible diplomatic effort is being made to ensure that the convoy arrives. Let's see whether they'll listen to us in Moscow.
This as an American journalist has died in the war in Ukraine. Brent Renault was 50 years old. I'm Cole Higgins reporting.
According to the Russian government, the next round of diplomatic talks with Ukraine will be held virtually today. When March 14th rolls around, you know it's time to get your butterfly nets out of storage. That's because Monday is National Learn About Butterflies Day. There are more than 20,000 types of butterflies worldwide, and some are as big as 11 inches wide. While many butterflies only live for a week in their adult stage, some can live almost a year, depending on the species. Butterflies play an important role in nature because they are pollinators like bees, essential to our food supply. Monday is also a good time to plant the spring wildflowers, which butterflies feed on. You'll enjoy both the flowers when they bloom and the colorful butterflies they attract. I can't believe how big they can be. When I read that, I was like,
one of the most important relationships I've ever had in my life started with the one I refer to as the wise one. Started with us talking about monarch butterflies and how many generations it takes for them to get from point A to point B. Can you imagine going through multiple generations to get to your ultimate destination, only to lay eggs and then turn around and go again? Something else.
that
Truly
really
amazing.
is something else.
I've yet to see any, but I bet you by the middle of the week, Bronte, with our weather warming up into the 70s, we are going to see some, because I tell you what else is going to start emerging. We'll start to see some flowers here because we'll have warmer temperatures and a little bit of rain. The key factor is no threat of severe weather, but that scattered rain begins this afternoon, carries us into Monday night. It reemerges from Thursday afternoon into Friday morning, and sandwiched in between, there's that warming trend on Wednesday and Thursday, able to make it up into the 70s. Gorgeous sunrise outside of Television City. Of course, Bronte bringing us the information about the funerals that will be held for our Joplin police officers, and an indicator of our flags hanging at flat half staff. 48 degrees right now, over 7th and Range Line. Last gust at Joplin Regional Airport picked up at 31 miles per hour. So the interesting part is, with our humidity being so low and our winds so high, even though we talk about scattered rain for this evening into tonight, we have elevated fire concerns for this morning. So be very wary of that if you're trying to accomplish any burning of the brush or anything before the rain arrives. Probably not the best morning to do it. 50s is what we've hit in Welch and Veneta. Everybody else trying to eke their way up there. 48 in Neosho, 43 in both Iola and Fort Scott. Very quiet Midwest. We'll pay attention to what comes in out the Arklatex region, as that's where it will head toward us. But very nice afternoon, even with the increased cloud cover. We'll go low 60s. Let's talk about a little bit of the rain that's going to head our way, as it starts off as a scattered variety. And then as we work from late Monday night into early Tuesday morning, the majority of the accumulation staying south of I-44 for northeast Oklahoma and southern southwest Missouri. 60s on Tuesday, 70s on Wednesday and Thursday. Bronte?
All right, thanks, Michael. Well, up next, a new study reports that loneliness may result in losing some of your verbal memory skills. And later, we'll meet a man who's putting a storage container to good use for the people of Ukraine. You're watching the kOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
No one.
Spring brings out day trippers and the go-to places to be for allergy sufferers. It's more the not-to-go places. The Asthma and Allergy Foundation of America recently released its 2022 list of allergy capitals as the most challenging places to live. Some of these cities are Scranton, Pennsylvania, Wichita, Kansas, McAllen, Texas, Richmond, Virginia, and San Antonio, Texas. Other baddies: Oklahoma City, Hartford, Connecticut, Buffalo, New York, New Haven, Connecticut, and Albany, New York. The agency says more than 50 million of Americans suffer some type of allergy. Sustained loneliness, it may mean losing some of your verbal memory skills. Researchers from an university in Norway say one way loneliness affects health and well-being is through losing memory skills and cognitive recall in words over time. The scientists studied more than 1,500 people in Sweden, Germany, and Denmark, and not all showed memory decline issues the same way. How cultures deal with isolation could explain differences according to the analysts. There were no connections between brain regions and loneliness in this research. New data from the CDC confirms Pfizer's 2-dose COVID-19 vaccine can help protect children and teens. Researchers found the vaccine was 31% effective in preventing Omicron infection among 5 to 11-year-olds and 59% effective among 12 to 15-year-olds. Scientists in Ireland are learning more about the process of wound healing. Using super-resolution microscopes, they discovered platelets which clot to stop bleeding also help build new tissue needed for wound repair. And a new study suggests older Americans are less healthy today, despite increases in education and income levels. Between 2001 to 2018, researchers identified a deteriorating trend in diet quality in nearly 2/3 of adults aged 65 and older. Well, a furry little face has popped out to say hello at Adelaide Zoo. The kOAM Joey made its debut this week, wiggling its nose out from 5-year-old Uray's pouch. kOAM Joey lives in their mother's pouch for around 5 months before making their way out to explore the world. In around a month, the Joey will make its way completely out of Uray's pouch to bounce and jump around the kOAM exhibit near the Variety Children's Zoo. Quokkas are one of the smallest wallaby species in the world and are well known and loved for their fluffy faces, ears, and a tail which can be up to 31 centimeters long.
My goodness. Not going to lie to you, cute as can be, and obviously I will never have to endure the trials, tribulations, and pains of childbirth. As I see this, I think about 10,000 Maniacs and Natalie Merchant singing about Eat for Two. And at some point in time, mom's got to be like, kid, go explore the world. Like it's a big world out there. Let's go find it, and let's let mom eat and have some
peace
R&R.
Yeah, definitely.
That's pretty cool. I've never seen one of those, even in a zoo.
I know I've heard the name before.
I've heard the name, but I don't think I've ever seen one.
No, and I'm trying to picture, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this before. Like this image I'm looking at is quite unique. I've never seen anything quite like it.
You can tell how relatively small they are, though, because when that person goes to feed them, you kind of get a hand for scale. There you go, yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right,
because you're right, with the camera angle, you're almost like, my goodness, how big are those things?
Right.
Well, when you said Joey too, I immediately was thinking kangaroo. But
well,
yeah,
then
marsupial.
there you see it has a little pouch, kind of like it. I guess they're similar.
So think about how small that baby is, Bronte.
I know.
Just about like that. All right, kid, go see the world. Live look outside of 7th and Rangeline. Of course, now that we're an hour ahead, kind of got to rotate our cameras about here, there, and everywhere to make sure we get a little sunshine early in the morning. Daily Almanac on this March the 14th with a record high of 80 degrees dating back to 1971. And we're going to be in store for a delightful middle of the week of March and actually pick up a little much needed rain. Nothing severe though, that's the key factor. 48 degrees is where we stand over 7th and Rangeline. Elevated fire risk for early morning hours, 20 miles an hour already in Independence. And temperatures, a couple 50s down in northeast Oklahoma in Welch and Veneta. Carthage sits at 46, Neodesha 46, Miami 46, 43 and 42 up to the north in Fort Scott and Nevada. All the cloud cover that will eventually intrude right now staying far off to the west. Now we are going to pick up some evening rain activity. It'll be scattered, just rain showers, nothing severe whatsoever. Just did a kind of an update on the models here. We're looking at 1/10 to 0.15 inches. So we don't have to worry about any flooding concerns or anything of that nature. It should really be done by Tuesday morning. So kind of pick up, coming off the elevated fire risk morning, kind of pick up some rain that we need. Be back with more kOAM morning news on Fox 14 right after this. More than 2,000 items have been donated to help victims of the war in Ukraine. Essentials are being packed in a shipping container bound for the Poland-Ukraine border. Mara McJilton with the story.
Most of my customers, they are in Europe, in Poland, and also Ukraine. They just stop buying vehicles, so I have the empty containers. I have to do something.
Lucas Jewelski, CEO of Motor Leader Global, is from Poland and has about a dozen refugees staying at his home there right now. Knowing they were in need, he started asking for donations.
I'm very impressed. It's way more than we were expecting. I was thinking maybe we're gonna fill full container, maybe not. Maybe we're gonna use our money to go to Walmart or different stores and buy some food to fill out the containers.
Motor Leader Global and CIL Capital in Wilmington started collecting donations Tuesday morning with hopes of packing a shipping container. Since then, they've collected hundreds of donations in addition to the more than 2,000 Amazon packages.
Right now, it's number one, it's the food ready to eat. So all the cans like tuna, chicken, all the fish stuff, meat, ham, that they just open and can eat. So that's the number one. Today I spoke with one of my friends from Ukraine. He said, Lucas, we have big problem with power, with electricity, and we need a lot of power banks.
What's needed can change by the day. For instance, blankets and warm clothing are high on the list right now. But make no mistake, each donation will go a long way to help people. And Jewelski is encouraged by the compassion shown by the Cape Fear.
Hopefully it's gonna be not the only one container, not the two containers. Hopefully we're gonna continue the action for next weeks and months. That's my goal. And I know they need a lot of help because the Ukraine it's being destroyed right now.
All right, live look outside of 7th and Rangeline, where our current conditions are very comfortable for the middle of March, 48 degrees. Look at that, now the wind gusts now picking up to 31 miles per hour at Joplin Regional Airport. And because our humidity is stuck in that 50% range, that's why we have a morning fire risk, and a morning fire risk despite the fact that we're waiting on some Gulf moisture that's now beginning to work its way through portions of central Louisiana. We'll see that gather throughout the later morning hours and then head our way. But in the meantime, going to be absolutely delightful temperatures right on par for where they normally be this time of year, high 50s, low 60s. And so let's talk about our scattered rain that really doesn't pick up until the late afternoon, early evening. As it does, nothing severe, anywhere from say about 1/10 to about 0.15 inches, maybe 2/10 of an inch if you're along and south of I-44, but then diving off before the Tuesday morning commute. Then let's get ready for the 70s on Wednesday and Thursday. More kOAM morning news right after this.
It's time to honor today's four-state hero, John Millard. Captain John Millard served in the Army from 1969 to 1971. He served with the 1st Cav Division in Vietnam. He earned the National Defense Service Medal, among other medals. His hometown, Baxter Springs, Kansas. We thank you, today's four-state hero, John Millard. Well, a Las Vegas police officer is going well beyond the call. He and his wife are adopting 5 children who lost their dad. Natasha Chen reports.
North Las Vegas police officer Nicholas Quintana always wanted a big family.
You want some ketchup? With your chicken nuggets.
But he and his wife never thought they'd suddenly jump from having 0 children to 5.
You do or you don't? Okay, well then your brother will get it then.
On January 14th, Quintana answered a dispatch call for shots fired at a home.
Troll George 23, copy, 85 from 490.
One parent is alleged to have killed the other, leaving 5 children at the house with no one to care for them. After leaving the scene,
I did something that I'd never done before, and I came back to this particular incident. I told him, said, hey, make me a promise. I want you to promise me that you'll learn to forgive.
Their experience is something he can relate to. His own father was killed by a relative when Quintana was just a child.
It's impossible to forget things, right? Especially things that hurt us most. But that lesson to say, hey, you know what? I don't hold this against you anymore. I love you. Okay, that took a long time to happen, a while to happen.
And he felt eager to help these kids face their trauma. So after the incident, when he got off his shift at 3 a.m., he couldn't wait to tell his wife he wanted to bring all 5 kids home.
I believe God placed on my heart, and what are your thoughts on it? And her initial response was, is this a dream?
She agreed to meet the children, who had a slim chance of being taken into a foster home together, when they invited the kids to live with them.
The 17-year-old, she looks at me, she goes, all of us? And I said, yeah, I want to take every single one of you.
An act earning the support and praise of his fellow officers and even the chief of police.
You can still watch TV, just eat right here, okay?
Now the couple's days are filled morning to night with preparing a lot more meals, getting children to and from school and therapy appointments. Quintana says most parents have the opportunity to grow with their kids, from dirty diapers to teenage tantrums. But learning how to be a father on the fly this past month to kids ranging from age 6 to 17 has been an exciting challenge.
What are you most afraid of right now?
Failure. I told you before, I didn't have a father figure growing up, and I don't want to fail at it.
Another half hour of news and weather just ahead. Coming up on the kOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Man's best friend just got a best friend of his own as a 12-year-old boy raises over $500,000 for bulletproof vests for police dogs. And if you like disco, and who doesn't, Gene Moose has the perfect story to put a smile on your face for your Monday. You're watching the kOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the kOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:30. Let's take a look at today's top stories. Workers at Trinity Circle Horses Healing Hearts know a lot of first responders are hurting right now, and they want to help. So they're offering any emergency service worker free equine therapy. Trinity Circle is located in Goodman, Missouri. Some workers there have relatives who worked as emergency personnel.
I want them to hear that having PTSD or emotional trauma from an event is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of strength, because you had the heart to go and do what many cannot and most will not.
Trinity Circle Horses Healing Hearts is located on Sorrel Road in Goodman. Joplin's North Park Mall played host to the 8th annual March of the Kidney. The walk raises money for Freeman Dialysis Patient Assistance Fund. That fund helps local patients with special dietary needs, transportation to specialized kidney transplant appointments, and more. Officials with Freeman say it's great to see the community come together every year for this special walk.
We have such a great community support for kidney disease, and we have people from all walks of life, all professions coming in to help support us, and we have a wonderful community in Joplin, and I couldn't be more proud.
Doctors say early detection is key, and there are some risk factors to be aware of. Those include diabetes, high blood pressure, obesity, family history of kidney disease, and aging. Some ethnicities at higher risk for kidney disease include African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Pacific Islanders, and American Indians. An Uber Eats driver had his car stolen, only to find out the thieves used it to commit another crime. The Massachusetts man says the criminals not only stole his car, they took his livelihood. Brandon Truitt has the story.
Went to get a bill order, came back, car was gone. I was like, this is not happening. I mean, what's happened?
It all went down in seconds Thursday night. Uber Eats driver Amir Fergani was picking up a delivery at this McDonald's in Somerville. He left his car running and ran in to get the order, but when he came out, his car was gone.
When it actually first happened, I couldn't believe it. I said, this could be a nightmare.
Amir filed a police report and got a ride home, but just a few hours later, he was woken up by a call from police. They had found his stolen car.
He goes, we found your car. I said, yes! However, it's in the store. I go, okay. He goes, no, it's in the store.
The car was used as a wrecking ball, part of a smash and grab at a luxury store on Newberry Street in Boston. As of Saturday night, the Chanel store remained boarded up. When all of this was happening, police say witnesses saw a man run from the store, get in a getaway car. Police are still looking for the two people involved. Police say the thieves got away with at least 20 Chanel bags. That's thousands of dollars of merchandise. This isn't the first time this has happened to Amir. He had his car stolen in New York about 30 years ago. He got that car back, This time, not so lucky. His Nissan is a total loss, but says he's gained a lesson here. He'll turn his car off from now on, leaving this message for those who stole it.
Dudes, really? They did what they did. I just hope they get caught and they don't do it to somebody else.
The Uber Eats driver is waiting to hear from his insurance company because his car was totaled. There's no word yet if Uber can also help. The great resignation of job dropping during the pandemic may have created a Great Depression among job shifters. About 72% of workers who quit jobs during the pandemic then took another say they regret quitting their other job, according to a survey by online career platform The Muse. The survey of 2,500 millennial and Gen Z job seekers say they were surprised about new roles and new jobs that were different from the interview process. The Muse's CEO calls it shift shock. The survey also found 80% of millennials say it's okay to quit a job in 6 months if the role isn't what they feel was advertised.
So 2 questions. Why a 6-month rule? You're talking to a Gen Xer here, so I'm asking. No, I'm not being facetious. Why a 6-month rule? Do we know?
I mean, this is the first I'm hearing of this. Yeah,
that's crazy. You think was it knee-jerk reaction by a lot of people? What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, it's so different coming from how it is for us. We kind of have these, contractual things. So I can't even imagine just leaving after 6 months.
Or you're in it because you love it.
Exactly. Yes. It is. But
in some ways, folks, broadcast journalism is a lot like, I don't know, maybe Robert De Niro, Al Pacino kind of thing. You try to get out, they keep on pulling you back in.
Yeah. Exactly.
We will be showing Sorotsky The Godfather after today's show, so she is familiar with that.
Looking forward to it.
You got 4 hours of your time?
Oh, God. I guess.
Sorotsky and I will be producing the noon while viewing Godfather.
Yes, exactly.
Bronte, a look at what to watch for this week from Monday through Friday. Get a little rain tonight into tomorrow morning. Going to warm up into the 70s for Wednesday and Thursday. Great looking middle of the week and a little additional rainfall from Thursday into Friday. But the key factor in all our rainfall is no dramatic cold front to follow. We'll be able to keep our March rains as rains and really not have to worry about anything severe. Of course, the flags outside of Television City half staff with our funerals for our Joplin police officers, that keeping our families in our thoughts and prayers, of course, as the glow cloud rises slowly above the horizon on this Monday, March the 14th. As we take a live look over 7th and Rangeline, our daily almanac would put our average high around 59 degrees, and that's exactly where we'll end up for the most part. We'll see some low 60s and we'll see some mid 50s, so it all averages out. In Joplin right now, 48 degrees. Even though we have an elevated fire risk this morning, wait until later this afternoon. Remember, nothing severe. We're talking just scattered rain for tonight into Tuesday. Accumulation numbers, if you get 0.2 of an inch, you're going to get a lot, so no flooding concerns either. We'll be back with more kOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. This morning on the kOAM News Now Facebook page in our morning Insta poll, therapy. Let's start with talking about animals. Turns out abused and neglected animals that suffer from emotional scars, well, there's a new approach that the state of California is trying, holistic healing, using the work of a doctor from England who believes emotional well-being is the key to good health, and each treatment tweaked toward that specific animal and say they're having great effects. You have abused dogs that are becoming more acclimated to being around people and also showing long-term health effects that are positive as well. Our question for you this morning, we kind of took the pet out of it and asked what kind of therapy or therapies do you use? 30% of you, this has been our clubhouse leader all morning long, say it's physical, followed by 19% at mental and 19% as well at spiritual. Appreciate everybody's engagement each and every morning. Man's best friend has someone looking out for him. It's a very young, special boy. Kid's only 12. Comes from Ohio. He's raised more than $500,000 to purchase vests for police dogs. And he just helped another heroic pup, Bradley Blackburn, with the story. Bradley's in New York.
Meet Ranger, a 2-year-old canine officer who's protecting the residents of Sacramento, California. And now meet the kid who's helping to protect him.
Hi, this is Brady from Brady's Canine Fund.
Brady Snikovsky's mission started when he was just 9 years old. Now 12, the 6th grader is still raising funds to buy bulletproof vests for police dogs and spreading the word on social media.
I'm selling the ornaments to buy a ballistic vest for police canines that don't have one.
Ballistic vests help shield dogs' vital organs, but each one costs $1,200 or more, an expense that's out of reach for many police departments. So Brady's Canine Fund has raised the money to send vests to 546 working dogs in 37 states.
I donate canine vests because I want to protect the canines.
Brady says it means just as much to a dog's handler.
It just snaps in right here on the side.
It's true for Officer Arian Turman, who saw his partner Ranger stabbed in November as they pursued a suspect.
He has my back, I have his. I do anything for him, and he would do anything for me, as he did that night.
Now Brady has outfitted Ranger and every other canine officer in Sacramento. Some of the hundreds of hardworking police dogs getting help from a remarkable young man. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News.
Tremendous gesture right there. We'll be back with more kOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Sales of a Nintendo product help make the Switch back into the lead position in sales. Nintendo's Switch gaming system, which can move back and forth from a home console to a portable system, retook the top position as the U.S. best-selling gaming system in February. The Switch outsold Sony PlayStation 5 in both unit and dollar sales. Both games have swapped positions throughout the year. Nintendo may have benefited from the global chip shortage, which made other gaming devices less accessible. Therefore, the Switch became easier to find in stores. And gone. The national average cost for gas seems to know no bounds with Russia's continued invasion of Ukraine, disrupting the global oil supply and partially to blame for the recent spike. But the sharp price increases are impacting more than just drivers. Chris DeMaio has a look at the damaging effects on businesses, plus how you can help conserve fuel.
Gas prices continue shooting up through the roof. According to fuel market analysis company Trilby Lundberg, as of Sunday, the average cost of gas is now a record $4.43 a gallon, up by 79 cents over the last 2 weeks.
I drive my grandchildren, and I go and see them. That's my joy. And it's like, I don't want the price of gasoline keeping me from visiting my grandchildren.
But even if you don't drive a car, you could still be feeling the pinch. Rideshare and delivery app Uber announcing a new temporary fuel fee. It'll depend on where you live, but starting Wednesday, customers will be charged an extra 45 or 55 cents for each Uber trip, and an extra 35 or 45 cents for every Uber Eats order. The money will be pocketed by drivers in an effort to help them fight rising gas prices. Smaller local businesses, on the other hand, are also taking action.
For our delivery drivers, we had to increase our fee, which was $2.25 per delivery fee. We had to mark it up to $3 per delivery.
But here's a tip. Automotive professionals say keeping your tires properly inflated is one of the best ways to help stretch your dollar at the pump.
For every underinflated pound per tire for 4 tires on a vehicle, you lose 0.3%. So if you're 3 pounds lower on your tire pressure, you're going to be losing 0.9% of your fuel economy.
And if you want to pay the lowest amount for gas, head to Tulsa, Oklahoma, where it's $3.80 per gallon. Meanwhile, the highest average prices can be found at pumps across the San Francisco Bay Area, where it'll cost you $5.79. We'll be right back with more after this, but first, let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
Call him a disco dad. He's now gone viral after his son stumbled upon his father's ultra-catchy but never released disco single. Jeannie Moose with the story about, it's a banger.
An Arizona teenager is having a ball, a disco ball, discovering his disco dad, aspiring musician Zach Montana, got in his dad's truck and a CD came on.
What the? It's so good. It's disco, but it's so good.
And then he heard a familiar voice. Zach's dad used to tour with the band Boston, but this song was news to his son.
Oh my God. And he never released it. I'm so mad at him.
So Zach released it on TikTok, and father and son ended up on Jimmy Kimmel Live.
Why do you have a CD player in your car, by the way?
Because I'm old.
70 years old, but William Curly Smith wasn't too old to perform Surrender to Me.
Come on, tell me, do you want to be loved? Wrap yourself around me like Smith and Bell.
Performed it with his son and newly formed group, Fire City Funk. Fans raved online. That's a banger, and begged, please release this. Back in the late 70s, Smith said he couldn't get a record deal.
So I just put it on a shelf for 43 years, and every now and then I would listen to it and go, hey, that was pretty good.
So good, it's now on Spotify, streamed over 1 million times.
But it feels so right.
No one's feeling it more than his son. Disco Dad has circled back from the 70s.
Surrender to me.
Oh, we surrender all right. Jeannie Mose, CNN.
It's a banger, man. I'm down with it. All right, temperatures up into the mid to high 50s later on this afternoon. We'll see a 60 every now and then. Now remember, this afternoon, evening, and nighttime hours bring us scattered rainfall. Not looking at anything severe. Majority of the accumulation throughout northeast Oklahoma, southern southwest Missouri, south of the I-44 corridor. Cleaning out before we get into Tuesday travel mode, warming up into the 70s for Wednesday and Thursday. More kOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Welcome back to the kOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. Russia escalated its war on Ukraine with missile attacks on an airbase just miles from the border with NATO member Poland. The offensive killed dozens of people at the sprawling base, which has been used by the U.S. and NATO for training exercises. The deadly airstrikes came after Russia threatened to target foreign weapon shipments. Former President Barack Obama says he's tested positive for the coronavirus. Mr. Obama tweeted that he's had a scratchy throat for a couple of days, but is feeling fine otherwise. He said former First Lady Michelle Obama tested negative, and both are grateful to be vaccinated and boosted. And Oscar-winning actor William Hurt has died. Hurt starred in a number of acclaimed movies in the 1980s, including The Big Chill, Body Heat, and Broadcast News. Hurt battled prostate cancer. He was 71 years old. Now, let's check in with Michael for your final look at weather.
Bronte, as we get into the afternoon hours, we're going to go from an elevated fire risk for this morning with low humidity or high humidity and very high wind. And then look at what moves in from the south. So this will be on us for the afternoon and evening hours. It is scattered. It will not be anything organized nor anything severe. Then as we push into early Tuesday morning, the majority of the accumulation along and south of I-44, anywhere from about 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch. So no worries about any flooding or anything like that. And then the 7-day forecast that slowly lifts us up into the 70s by Wednesday and Thursday.
Right. Well, a month-old Humboldt penguin chick hatched at Brookfield Zoo on February 2nd. According to the IUCN's, or the International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources Red List, Humboldt penguins are vulnerable in their native habitat along the western coast of South America near Peru and Chile. The penguin population, which researchers estimate to be less than 24,000, continues to decline due to several factors, including climate change and severe weather, human encroachment, energy production, mining, and pollutants, among other threats.
Pretty amazing right there.
I know.
Great to see they're keeping them safe, too.
I know, yeah.
We did a couple cute animal stories today.
I know. Those are my favorite.
Penguins are your favorite?
Well, the cute animal stories.
Oh,
but
I got you.
I do love penguins, though.
I didn't know. I never would have thought that the person from the West Coast would just be enamored with penguins.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen one in person, but...
Wait a second. You said that you've seen the other one at a zoo, but
No. I had never heard of that one.
Oh.
I also haven't been to many zoos either. So that's why I love seeing these stories. I never get to see all the animals.
Okay, we need to get you to Tulsa.
Okay.
And we need to get you to Wichita, and we need to get you to Kansas City.
Those are all the local zoos.
You have 3 excellent zoos within an easy drive
Mm-hmm.
of you, and they do a tremendous job. And that way, you can come back and say, I saw those penguins.
Yeah, maybe next time I do a story like that, I'll have seen one of them in real life.
There you go. I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for letting us put the good in your morning. We'll be back with more news and weather when we see you at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.